Well. Hello, everyone. I don't really have a overtly positive video today, and I'll tell you guys why. I saw on Twitter that 900 people got laid off of Epic today, despite the crazy buku bucks amount of money that they make. And it's really tough for me to justify that, and I don't think we should. I don't think we should defend Epic. And yeah, that was a really scummy thing to do. Before I could even pop a video out about it myself, we got Alanah Pearce here going over that and going over some key things that, as someone who is in the gaming, inside the gaming sphere in the industry itself, she has some pretty good takes. So I thought, hey, let's pull this up, load it, and let's see what she has to say. So let's get right into the video.
Today's video is probably going to be a bit of a bummer. It happens sometimes. I don't know what the solution to the problem is, but I am deeply concerned. And before we go any further, I want to acknowledge that everything I'm about to say in this video is not exclusive to the games industry. It's more exclusive to the system, capitalism. But the games industry is the industry that I love and that I care about and that I'm passionate about and that I think about 24/7 and exist in. So that is the center of the conversation, even though I am aware other industries deal with the same issues. If you haven't already heard, Epic Games, known for the Epic Game Store and Fortnite, and many a very profitable property, has just laid off a significant number of its workforce, including a lot of people I know who work in game development. And it's been very weird to watch people at other companies who've also had layoffs this year be like, to everybody at Epic who got laid off, we have job listings. Because the truth is that it is after a number of other companies have also had layoffs in 2023. Which, as a reminder, is also the year that has brought us fantastic...
I will say this. If I work at any industry, I don't care what industry it is, and I don't find out from my boss that I'm laid off, but I find out that I'm laid off via Twitter on not a public, like not a private message either, a public post, I would be absolutely livid. I would be so mad. I think if you give more than 2 or 3 years of your life to any company, I think they owe you that much. And I know this has got to be a decision from the top, just to squeeze out a little more money.
Video games. Not only a very good year for video games and a very bad year for the games industry. And the thing about Epic is they're one of those companies that has like so much money that when you even try to rationalize it, it just sounds made up. It's like almost $40 billion valuation. They are very significantly owned by Tencent, which is one of like the biggest companies in the world. And year over year, their profits increase, their margins increase. And yet for some reason, their labor workforce still has to decrease. Or so they have said. I mean, some of these people who lost their jobs found out which other colleagues lost their jobs today in the games industry because of Twitter. Like, you kind of just don't know which person of the grab bag of people that just got laid off is gone. And what kills me about this is that I've said it so many times on this channel. I know people know it to the extent that it almost doesn't mean anything, but game development is really hard. We know, guaranteed, that a lot of these people who just got laid off have given up countless nights and weekends and taken time away from their families and not taken trips that they could work hard to end up getting laid off at the end of the day. Anyway, I feel like that just kills me. It's so hard to rationalize like how exploitative these mega corporations can be with people's literal lives. Like, you literally only live once, and they will take everything they possibly can from you, take all of your hours, take all of your energy, tell you it's not good enough, and then half the time change the company directive in 2 months' time so the thing you were working on that you were told you had to give a deadline for, or you had to meet the deadline for, doesn't matter in 2 months anyway, and they completely change their minds.
That makes me wonder, that little line that Alanah just said, the 2 months thing. Like, how many games do you think probably could have been a really good indie title or a really good like game on its own? And, you know, we could have had maybe the next Vampire Survivors or Cult of the Lamb, but because it wasn't going to make the amount of money that Epic would have been happy with, it just got shelved. it's kind of mind-boggling to think about. Like, how many people do you think do have original ideas, but they just get shut down because in the corporate world, if you're not high enough to be a boss man or lady, don't discriminate, but if you are high up enough that you are able to call the shots, does that mean that, like, will the project ever take off, kind of thing? And I know I'm rambling at this point, but it makes me sick to my stomach a little bit that if everything matters because of who you are and not because of what you can do. And I think my folks told me this once. The world used to be, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I always looked at that as a pro, but lately it's starting to become a little bit of a con, because if you don't know anybody, you're out of luck.
Or they'll just lay you off anyway because the labor's too expensive, regardless of the fact that they have year-over-year profits. They are a profitable company. They are successful. And then the people who, work in the games industry, who have all this games industry experience, just have to find the next company that will do that. Just kind of on a cycle over and over again. And the reason I say that it's unsustainable is that the current growth model in the games industry is like so wildly out of hand that I feel like there has to be a crash. AAA games are so incomprehensibly expensive.
Okay.
They also take a really long time to make. We are at 5+ year game dev cycles at this point for a lot of AAA.
Do you guys think it'll ever get to like a decade? Like, do you guys ever think like the graphics and everything and just everything processing and streamlining everything is just going to be like, we're at an arms race with how fast technology, internet, everything goes up a little bit as time progresses. And then sometimes we'll have like huge leaps. But I feel like this amount of data and stuff that hundreds of people, or thousands of people are making a video game nowadays, will it ever hit that ceiling? And man, it certainly feels like lately we have hit the ceiling. Going from a PlayStation 2 to a PlayStation 3 or a GameCube to the Wii or that kind of stuff. Some of those games, those were like huge graphical jumps. Maybe not so much for Nintendo, but for like PlayStation, those were huge graphical jumps. And it was a world of difference. And nowadays, when I switched from that PS4 back there, which is Dilly's, shout out, to the PS5, also Dilly's, shout out again, I noticed that the graphical fidelity of it, and it kind of, I feel like it was a single-digit increase. I guess that's what I'm trying to get to. Each year, I feel like we're starting to see that ceiling. Alanah said there's going to be a crash. I don't necessarily know that there will be a crash. Let me tell you why. Socially, it is now more acceptable than it has ever been to not only be into video games, to like anime, to be a nerd, all this stuff. It's in right now. And it's in the mainstream, which means enough people admit that they do it, so it is accepted. At this point, I don't think there's an age limit to video games. And unless you're playing an FPS game and you're a 60-year-old dude, that's like your reaction speed just isn't good enough, you can still play it. And I don't think anyone in my generation is going to give me shit for that. I think there's going to be gamers that are going to be older than for the next generation. So I don't know if there's ever going to be a crash. The only thing I can think of that could be a crash is because of my age, and I'll self-report, I'm a millennial. Hi. I feel like our generation of not having kids is going to be fewer customers, and these industries are going to be freaking out, thinking, what can we possibly do to make more money, when in reality there's just fewer customers, and that's just the way of the world. I think eventually we'll start to see that, but that's going to be years and years down the road right now.
Studios. 5+ years, millions and millions and millions of dollars, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands in some cases, of employees, who a lot of whom get hired as contractors. I feel like that's like such a big problem in the games industry that I don't know how the media hasn't tried to cover yet. It's very bizarre to me that there is so much contract work in the games industry where contracts just get cut off and these people aren't earning any healthcare. And it's also a really bad problem in games because people are competing with each other. Say you have two contract producers and they know that a game's about to ship. They're going to start like sabotaging each other and competing with each other in order to try to stay employed. This is like consistent across the games industry.
That actually happens? Holy shit. Oh man, that's wild. Sabotaging someone you're on the same team with just so you look better.
That video game development is actively hurt by contractors. All these people who should be employed full-time but aren't. And like when you get to the end of this, 5+ year dev cycle, some people will start leaving because they recognize there are going to be cutbacks. Others get laid off, just causing this like constant anxiety for so many people who work in this industry who just have no idea if they'll stay employed. And then as the projects get bigger and more expensive, the impact that has on game development just becomes bigger and bigger as well. So not only do you have an industry where you have to have people who are incredibly skilled at things that are not that transferable, they also generally have to be pretty damn passionate, especially in the case of engineers. They could all make way more money if they didn't work in video games. Go work in software engineering. But the point is that they all really love video games, who are just laid off like it means absolutely nothing,
True.
regardless of the time they put in. It can be 10 years in some cases. It can be like a huge chunk of their lives. Again, so many occasions that these people, these human beings have.
That's actually, no, you know what? I like that point. That is a very good distinction. There is a huge difference between being a software engineer and a game dev. And the difference is you are more fluent in other programs aside from like Unity or Unreal. You can work different coding languages and stuff. And at that point, you have a use for industrial places. I'm not going to give away where I live because of the corporation that has moved into the backyard, but they have been there for many, many years, and they were looking for software engineers to help cut certain pieces of metal to certain requirements. And I thought about actually applying. My friend told me, he said, "Hey, did you build that computer?" And I said, "Yes, I did. This one sitting right next to me, built it from scratch." He goes, "You should bring that in to a job interview and the likelihood that they'll hire you will go exponentially up." I was like, does that mean they're desperate? Because I don't have any formal training in that. So yeah, that's how wild it is sometimes. Sometimes to get your foot in the door, it's so low, but at the same time, you're also the most expendable person in the room. I do think that is a very good distinction, though, because software engineers, those skills are way more transferable than to someone that just knows how to work Unity really well. So yeah, that's a crazy. A lot of people obfuscate that. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you're a dev, you probably know computer code." Some of them don't. It's kind of wild.
Spent on working just for a company to lay them off because it didn't make enough money. It's not like it didn't profit or wasn't successful versus the previous year. It just wasn't successful enough versus the previous year. Like it's unbelievable. It's crazy that the system considers a plateau to be a failure. Like, oh, you're only making 30 billion 2 years in a row? Ugh. Like literally shareholders will pull out because the way the whole system functions is they all just need to make more money all the time. And there's only so much money. So you just gotta fire people over and over and over again.
Imagine that there is a magical box in front of you, okay? And you take, let's see here. Let's use some real money here. All right, you take this beautiful Andrew Jackson $20 bill, all right, and you throw that into the box. And every time you do that, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, you're gonna make $50 total. You're gonna get your 20 back, and you're gonna get another $30 back to represent that 30 million. Do you know how brain rot your head must be to think that that is not enough? To think that you are risking way too much? Because, like, I understand that AAA game development is a costly endeavor. Do not get me wrong about this. But I think when you have a studio that just is home run after home run, your From Software games and stuff. I gotta be honest. I think greed is probably the worst thing plaguing a lot of our economy, and just how there's no limits on this stuff. There's absolutely no limits. I think eventually an industry can get to the point where they have the entire market cornered. Now what? What are we gonna do now? You sold the video game to everyone that was gonna buy it. Now what do you do?
To give the beast what it needs. Ugh. But yeah, we have this incredibly long growth cycle now where it's become doubly unsustainable because every time you hire somebody new in game development, that cost is like very high. Not only is it like high and that you might have to pay a bonus or you have to go through the negotiations, it's that you also have to cash somebody up. You can't just join a brand new studio, especially when different studios run on different engines. You don't know how far through production a certain company is. There are weeks, maybe even a month, where they can't actually really do any work because you're just paying them however much you give somebody in a month to just get caught up. And then you have to do this every time there's another round of layoffs because the industry can't sustain itself and keeping everybody on board, even though
it's just going to be a generation of coffee addicted game devs that knew like one engine really well and like two other game dev engines okay, and it's just going to be like, dude, this isn't, you can't get gold out of that. You understand? Like you have the pressure to make a pearl, but you are going about this all wrong. Like, damn, that is crazy.
again, projects are only getting more expensive, and dev cycles and production cycles, like the things that would have happened at Epic, not necessarily dev just at Epic, are just getting bigger and bigger and longer. You're spending more money, you're hiring more people, you're taking more time, you're laying off more people. And it's this like vicious cycle where the solutions are obviously layoffs or monetization. It's monetizing games. It's figuring out how to make FIFA Ultimate Team for every single game. Like, honestly, FIFA Ultimate Team is like such a problem in my head because it's like it makes so much money and is so renewable. You only have to make the card art for a FIFA Ultimate Team card once, right? And you are constantly already marketing it to the same people who've already bought FIFA.
The normies.
Or EAFC now, but you get what I mean. And every year it makes so much money and costs ultimately so little that it causes every other publisher in the games industry, because of the literal society that we live in, every publicly traded company, there will be shareholders being like, why aren't you making Ultimate Team money? Make Ultimate Team money. How haven't you figured out how to make some infinitely renewable, very easy source of income where we can repeatedly charge players for something that is so cost effective?
And you know what? And you know what the worst part is? People are going to keep buying it. And it's not the people like you or me that are watching this video. It's not the people that care about video games and want to fight back on any of this stuff. It's the guys that have 2 to 3 kids. They come home from work, from their 9-to-5 job, and they just want to relax a little bit and play a couple games online before they have to put the kids to bed. Those are the average sport fan, like everyday person that you'll see out and about, that usually they're like a month or 2 behind on the popular memes and stuff. They're not terminally online like all of us. And they're unaware of what they're doing. They're just like, oh, well, all my friends are getting the new Madden, or all my friends are getting the new FIFA game or whatever. And they're just like, yeah, well, we'll just step up with them and stuff, not realizing that they're paying $70 to buy the fucking game, mind you, to also pay more money down the road for microtransactions. A lot of the games that we play that like the gotchas and stuff, those games are at least free. Like, they're not $70 to purchase. Like, those games are pretty cheap. You can get by being what's called a dolphin, like spending a little bit of money. But yeah, the FIFA games, man, they just bleed you dry. The Madden games, the sports games in general, $70 every year for a roster swap. Here's an idea. don't call him 2024 Madden 2024. Don't call him that stuff. Just call it Madden. And for $10, they'll provide a fee. You know what? For those guys, make it a subscription because they'll pay for it. Make a subscription where every year the roster updates without charging them another $60, $70. Fucking. You want to know the most soulless thing in gaming? Okay? You want to know the most soulless thing in gaming? Kobe Bryant, okay? Died in a helicopter crash. And they thought it was a good idea to make a Black Mamba edition for like $120. That's cold. That's really cold. I don't know if I'd have the heart to do that. And I already know, I can hear them typing in the comments, it was a dedication to his memory. It was a cash grab. It was an absolute cash grab capitalizing on the death of a celebrity. So I don't even want to hear it. Yeah, that is some soulless greed going straight down to the bottom stuff.
Effective. And like, don't worry about the game part. It's that part that matters. And then gamers hate that. And so they just get really upset with the games industry, and people talk about voting with their wallets. But the problem is, in my head, people do vote with their wallets. People are voting with their wallets.
Opposite way.
You can talk about voting with your wallet all you want to, but you're already doing it. You can talk about don't pre-order games. Don't buy a game if you don't know the quality. It's an insane thing to do. And you can have that conversation as much as you want, but people are still doing it. You can have the conversation about how much you hate microtransactions or live service games as much as you want, but they still make so much money. Like, the conversations are irrelevant. The mobile market in China and Japan is so appealing to every company on the planet. It makes so much money.
It does.
So vote with your wallet. Like, yeah, people are already voting with their wallets. Their wallets are saying, we like microtransactions, actually. You don't have to put as much time into making that, and we will spend more money on that. More of that. And the problem with that is, like, those monetization strategies, again, the ones that are actually cheaper and thus more profitable, require less people to make. I just feel like we're in this horrible and terrifying cycle of the games industry is a really scary place to be for a lot of people because layoffs are so consistent, and you know, these people have lives and jobs and families that they have to take care of outside of the hours that they work really hard for these companies who don't care about them. And they get laid off, and that saves the company a little bit of money. But it's still never enough because, again, you have to have year-over-year growth or you're failing for some reason. Just being billion-dollar profitable is not enough profit. So then you have to figure out ways to make money cheaper, follow the trends that work. It's just a cycle that's like squeezing people into this narrower, more terrifying space where everyone's just trying to exist and trying to make really fun stuff and trying to continue to make video games. And like, of course, there are exceptions to what I'm talking about, but this is a reality for a lot of people, and a lot of people I know have been laid off at some point. Like, and it just sucks. It's an industry that so many people love so much, that so many people are so passionate about and spend so much time and put so much of themselves into, that I think at this point is like an untamable beast. Like, it just, I don't know where it goes from. I can make a video saying support the games you love, anything that you don't like, get a refund for. Don't just even like review on it or comment on it. That doesn't matter to capitalism. That doesn't matter to the CEO who's just seeing that they made $1 billion. You literally have to ask for refunds. You have to take that money away. Your tweets don't matter, I promise. They don't care. Negative YouTube videos, that stuff doesn't actually matter to people making $8 billion a year. You have to ask for refunds. Stop pre-ordering games. Legitimately, if you love a game, buy it twice. Or, and I'd love to ask people to do this, but I think that every person would get corrupted, buy stocks in companies that are doing things you like to try and reinforce that they're doing things you like. But I really do think that like very few people would be able to resist the,
everyone will go to FIFA.
I dip my toe in this, but if I buy stocks in this one, I'll be richer next week. Like, I think majority of humans are just like so susceptible to that system. And there's just no cap. There's no cap. It needs more money. It does not care about the people who care about it. It fucking sucks. It really sucks. I'm so sorry to my friends at Epic who got laid off, to everyone else who's been laid off this year across the games industry, across games media, of course, across multiple industries. Like, there are people being like, oh, it means there's a recession coming. It's so weird to see people be like, well, they had to have layoffs because there's, you know, financial downturn, which means that...
Financial downturn. Yeah. Okay, you want to know what a class act was for a financial downturn? The Wii U bombed. The Wii U sucked. so hard. There was nothing on the horizon. There might have been plans drafted, but this was not a thing yet. Okay? Nintendo Switch, not a thing yet. So, what do? The CEO of Nintendo took a pay cut. Took a really big pay cut so that they could keep everyone on board and keep the lights on and keep everything working. I think that was a cool move. Now, who knows? Maybe he was Japanese, and when you make a lot of money, maybe no matter who you are, you have expensive tastes. But maybe he didn't have enough and he was able to survive the cut. I don't think any CEO of any company in America could do that and live comfortably, or within those means, a smaller set of means. I don't think anyone could do it.
Every single one of those people who got laid off is fucked because there's a financial downturn. Why are you defending the company and not the people? It's incomprehensible to me. Yeah, I could tell you the things that I think that would help, but I don't really think they would help. I think it's like unfathomable amounts of money and a system that, again, requires infinite growth, which is unsustainable. And I just find it very scary because the people who are in the games industry are so good and care so much, and that's so fucking exploitable. This video is effectively a rant. It's 4 a.m. I can't sleep. I just wanted to say something. Did I say something? I don't know. It just sucks. It just really sucks.
I think from her point of view, being in the industry is invaluable. And being someone that has a setup like this that talks to people, another value added. I think you definitely said something. And let me see here. 1,730 other people also probably think you said something. So, yeah, and I see this video is doing pretty good. And, go give her a sub. Some people will like her. Some people won't. It's not everyone's cup of tea. Neither am I. So, yeah, if you guys like the video, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.